This isn't just a kitten story. It's the story of how a small, white, soft life came along without warning and changed my whole life. I wasn't looking for a cat. In fact, I always believed that cats were not for me. But Texas J didn't come because I expected it. It came because I needed it, even though I didn't know it. It was not a noisy or immediate love. It was a love that settled slowly, with silences, with looks, with routines that we learned together without planning them. With him, I discovered that animals do not fill a void. They build a new space within one. This is the story of how a surviving kitten became my companion, my daily joy, and my silent hero. This is the story of Texas J. Chapter 1: Texas J, the name of a miracle. Texas J isn't just a name, it's a little piece of destiny. I named it Texas because it opened its eyes there for the first time, in that immense state where its story began before crossing mine. The J is not just any letter. It is the vestige of his first name, the one he was given at birth, and I wanted to keep it as someone who leaves a little light on of what was his beginning. Texas J didn't arrive as just another one. He arrived as the only one. He was the only survivor of 7 kittens. When I learned that, I understood that I was facing a life that had already been fought, a life that had resisted. That's why I also call him my lucky 7. Not because there were 7, but because among all of them, he was the one that life chose to follow. And then I understood that he had not only survived for him, but also for me. I didn't know from the first second that, how much I could come to love him. Before I saw him, I thought it wasn't for cats, that they scared me, that they weren't for me. But Texas J didn't need to speak to dismantle all that. It just existed. Just being him, small, soft, fragile, and strong at the same time, was enough for me to understand that some presences are born with a name already written and with a destiny already assigned. He was going to be my Texas J before I even imagined it. Chapter 2: A 1,500-mile return journey. Texas J came to me quietly, like life-changing things come without asking permission. He was just 6 weeks old when I first put it in my hands. It was a warm ball of light hair with those shades of cream that seemed to be delicately painted, the little eyes edged, the soft ears, 2 small spots on the back, and that tiny and hairy tail like a luxury feather. I looked at him, and it was like I'd always been waiting for him without knowing it. The return was almost 1,500 miles by car, 24 hours that did not feel heavy because it was hours with him. He didn't cry. He did not protest. He just watched. He studied me, I think, as if he was deciding if this was really his human. From time to time, he would settle in and go back to sleep as if he knew that, after all he had survived, he could now rest. There were moments along the way when I looked at him, and it seemed that the whole car was for him. His breath filled the space. It had that smell of a new baby, a hot stuffed animal, and recent life. Every so often he opened his eyes slowly, as if measuring the world that was leading him to a new home. There was no fear in his eyes. There was curiosity, that serious curiosity that animals have when they are still discovering whether the planet is a friendly place or not. I had bought what he needed. Food, water, blanket, all the basics so that he would be comfortable from the first kilometer back. And yet it seemed that he needed nothing more than presence. It was enough to have me close to be calm, as if somehow he had understood that the person next to him in that car was also the person who was going to take care of his story from that moment on. It was an unhurried trip, although it lasted a whole day. A journey of repeated glances, of pauses to make sure that nothing was missing, and of that beautiful silence that beginnings have when words do not yet exist but the bond already exists. I still didn't know how much my life was going to change. He already knew it. When we finally crossed the last mile, Texas J was no longer the kitten I was going to adopt. Somewhere invisible on the road, without me noticing, he had already become my companion. Chapter 3: Home Learned Little by Little. When we finally walked through the front door, I knew we were beginning another kind of journey, one without a road. I put him on the floor slowly, so that his little paws would get to know the terrain for the first time. He didn't run, he didn't hide. He walked as if he were walking through a place that he already sensed as his, carefully sniffing every line on the ground, stopping at each corner as if he were going to keep it in his memory forever. I didn't want to invade him with caresses or calls. I just looked at him. He raised his head from time to time to check that I was still there. He was not looking for arms, he was looking for certainty. Don't leave me. And I already knew I wasn't going to. The first few hours were like watching snow fall for the first time. Slow, quiet, effortless, but full of meaning. He ran into a corner of the rug, tested the texture, went down again. He found a corner under the table, smelled, discarded it. He finally chose the place he least expected, his cat carrier. He barely opened the latch with his nose and put the body in as if he had found the perfect cave. I didn't have the heart to get him out. There it stayed. There he decided that he would sleep. I let him do it. I learned quickly that with cats you don't negotiate destiny. They choose first. You only confirm. The routines we learned together, I took it one day at a time to teach him everything he knows now. During the day, he would come over to drink water when I filled the glass for me. If I went to another room, he would wait 2 seconds, and he came behind. Not stuck, not on top, but close enough to say without saying, "I'm with you." At night, before going to sleep, I would turn off the lights, and he would come down from wherever he was to get back into his carrier, as if the day would not end until he was next to me. Sometimes he would just show his face, checking that I was lying down, and when he confirmed, he would settle in with a tiny sigh, like babies when they surrender to sleep. There were still no established orders or words. There was no pee-pee first, no night-night, no instruction. There was something more primitive, pure coexistence. I spoke to him softly, even though I didn't know if he understood me. He didn't meow, but he responded with precise actions. Stay, approach, touch me with his tail, put his forehead against my leg for a second, and then leave. It was a mute but complete dialogue. This was his first days at home, without big events, but full of small discoveries that were weaving a bond. He did not arrive shouting presence. He arrived occupying space gently, as if he did not ask permission because he knew he belonged. And so, without realizing it, we begin to learn from each other. Chapter 4. Isolated, but never alone. A few days after arriving, when everything was still new, we were given the news. Texas had a ringworm. It was not something serious, but it was contagious. That meant isolating him. Set it aside. To separate it when we were just meeting. The idea of that distance hurt me more than the diagnosis itself. I decided that if he was going to spend days apart, at least that space should feel like a place made with love. Not a quarantine zone, but a home within the home. I looked for extra-large U-Haul boxes, the largest ones, and began to build him what ended up being his first mansion. A box for his water and food. Another, the middle one, as a room to sleep and play, and a third for his bathroom. I made windows, doors, poles, as if it were a real miniature house. It was made of cardboard, but it was made with care. I placed him inside the first time out of fear that he would feel punished. But he didn't make any gesture of sadness. He explored his new mansion as if it were a prize. He walked from one cubicle to the other, smelled each side, turned, settled down, and closed his eyes for a while. That's when I understood something. Animals don't know about exile. They know about companionship or abandonment. And he wasn't being abandoned. During the day, I would sit outside his mansion and talk to him as usual. He would approach that little window and stare at me with those eyes that seemed to hear. Sometimes he would extend a little paw over the edge, as if wanting to touch me even if it was with the slightest nail. I put my finger on the other side, and that small contact was enough for both of us. We played through the cardboard. I would move a thread through a slot and he would chase it from the inside, like children improvising entertainment with what is there. I never saw him sad. He never felt alone. He was physically isolated, yes, but never disconnected. Those 2 weeks became a silent ritual. I would arrive, talk to him, play, he would eat, he would sleep, he would listen to me. There was no sorrow, there was tenderness. There was no emotional distance, there was patient presence. When the treatment was over, and I was able to open his mansion to let him out, he didn't desperately throw himself outside. He walked out calmly, as if he knew that the outside world was still waiting for him. He came up to me, looked at me, and rested his forehead on my leg for a few seconds, as if he were saying without a voice, "Thank you for staying with me, even when you couldn't touch me." It was then that I understood that love with animals is not measured in caresses, but in not leaving them alone when it would be easier to move away. Chapter 5. An Unexpected Love. I never thought that a kitten could become the center of so much cuteness in my life. Texas J did not arrive with great gestures. It arrived with the softness of everyday life, and, without realizing it, it began to occupy every corner of my day as something natural. It wasn't a dramatic crush, it was a silent infatuation that got into my habits until one day I discovered that I already loved him as if he had always been with me. I began to call it 1,000 things, as only with what one really wants. Sometimes it was my love, other times mi osito, mi amore, mi cheto, my cotton ball, my four-legged baby. Each name came out different depending on the moment. One for when he played, another for when he slept, another when he just looked at myself without doing anything. And although he never ever meowed, responded to everyone with the same soft language he always had, stay, approach, barely touch with his nose, close his eyes when she caressed him, as if to say, yes, I know it's me. There was something too tender about watching him do simple things. Eating as if it were the best pleasure in the world. Sleeping in a ball, with the tail rolled like a soft duster around the body. Chasing a thread as if it were a trophy. Raising his head when I said something out loud, as if he understood human language better than cats. There was no need for him to speak. He expressed everything with his body and with the constancy of his company. Texas J taught me something I didn't expect. That happiness doesn't always come with big events. Sometimes it comes in the form of a little animal that settles into your life and makes it warmer effortlessly. His mere presence made the days smoother. It was enough to see his face to feel relief, as if I remembered at that moment that I was not alone. That's why, among all the nicknames, there is one that became the most important to me. My superhero. Not because it saved the world, but because it came just when I needed to save myself a little, even if I didn't know it yet. And he did it without trying. Just existing. Breathing close. Being him. The unexpected is not always noise. Sometimes it is a small cat, of course, with 2 spots on its back, which without intending to change your life with tenderness. Chapter 6. A message for anyone thinking of adopting. Adopting is not just taking home a little animal. It is letting a new life enter yours and modify it with tenderness. I didn't know how much I could love a cat until Texas J came along. I thought they scared me, that they weren't for me, that I might never connect with one. Today I know that all it took was the right kitten at the right time. If you're going to adopt, don't choose with your eyes alone. Choose with your heart. See if there is a connection, even if it is small. Sometimes you don't feel a noisy crush, but you do feel a calm, gentle certainty, a silent yes that the animal gives you with its gaze or with the way it stays close. That small gesture is worth more than any appearance. Preparing yourself with food, bed, or toys is easy. The difficult thing, and the beautiful thing, is to prepare yourself to love, to have patience, to be present even when something is not perfect, such as when there are treatments or adaptation or silence. Animals can't always say what they need, but they do sense when someone remains. Don't adopt just to fill a space in your home. Adopt to accompany a life and let that life accompany you too. If the kitten you choose is happy with you, you will be happy just by looking at it. I didn't know that such a small being could give so much peace, so much joy, and so much company without saying a word. If the right one arrives, and he arrives when he has to arrive, you will not only be giving him a home. You will be giving yourself, without knowing it, one of the simplest and purest forms of happiness. What's left when everything falls into place. Over time, coexistence ceases to be a novelty and becomes life. I'm not discovering Texas J anymore. I live with him now, and in that simplicity there's a peace I didn't know I needed. I don't remember what my days were like before I heard him move, before I saw him sleep, before I felt his gentle presence as a natural part of the space. He didn't change my life with a big moment or a dramatic scene. He changed it by dint of perseverance, of being there every day without demanding anything, without asking for explanations, without judging my silences or my tiredness. He only exists, and that's enough to make everything feel different. If I look back, I don't think about the journey or the isolation or the cardboard boxes or what we learned. I think of something simpler. How his arrival accommodated something inside me that I didn't know was messed up. He did not come to fill a gap, came to straighten an axis, to remind myself that there are still possible tendernesses, that there are still new beginnings even when one does not seek them. That is the true imprint of Texas J in my life. Not an episode, but an after. A quieter, warmer, fuller after. An afterlife where there is something, or rather, someone that makes the world feel a little less cold. There are loves that change course with noise. Mine came quietly, on 4 legs, and stayed.